One of the groups is actually working on this and actually preparing this thought and idea. The theme for these next few months is going to be on Legos and bricks. And when we think about like Legos and bricks, why is that the theme of this next few weeks? It really has to do with like building towards something. All of you all are building towards a career, a space, a dream, something that you started with and now you're trying to navigate through. And that's what this whole program is about. How do we get you all to that space? When you think about it, though, a lot of it starts with the inside of you rather than just the outward of doing things or executing on a project. And I think that's something that not everybody, that's not what they necessarily teach you in school, right? They teach you like, hey, get the skill sets. And then from those skill sets, you'll be able to get into this space. But a lot of these things that some of you might have started to see through this program is internal, right? It's motivating yourself. It's creating these relationships. It's trying new things. It's putting yourself out there. So I was talking to a friend and we were talking about this idea of like building towards something and really like where did that phrase or that idea come from? And that's like where we get the theme Legos and bricks from. And it was interesting to think that we didn't really have an answer, right? Like I think or metaphorically, you're building towards what's next, but who's really created a lane for how to build towards it? When you think of like your favorite celebrities, if some of you have favorite entrepreneurs, different people of that nature, all those people have built their career in their own unique way. And that's why I always tie back, right? All you have is all you need. It's always going to be inside of you. And what you have is actually just needing to be expressed in a more confident way. So there's going to be 4 questions that I want us to dive into today and talk a little bit about. But real quick, want to get a show of hands of understanding where you all are in your career journeys. So let's talk about, do any of you remember what you wanted to be in like elementary school? Like what was your dream career, your dream job? For me, I wanted to be a garbage man. Don't know why I was so fascinated with being a garbage man, but that was like my dream career. Let me get one person who can answer that real quick.
I could answer. In elementary, I always wanted to be in cybersecurity.
Okay, good. And let's talk about the next person. What did you want to be when you were in high school? For me, I thought I was going to be in the NBA. Really, like, no lie. I definitely thought I was going to go to the NBA, and that was like my dream. What about someone else? What was your dream in high school?
I wanted to be a tattoo artist and started doing tattoos like in junior high school, but figured out I don't care for
it. Dope. I like that. What about freshman year of college, right? After I realized I was like, yo, I'm not going to be in the NBA, I was like, let's give school a try. Freshman year of college, I know I wanted to be a doctor. What was someone's freshman year of college dream?
I feel like mine would be like filmmaker, like literally not even like a specific like part of it, because like was really at the time that I was like, okay, so like this is what I kind of want to pursue, but like I never really had like anything like at the time, right?
Yeah.
Like straight to the point.
No, and I think that's one of the main things, right? And I think all of those kind of show like some people, and this is where it's so tough for us in our day-to-day lives, is understanding like what direction you want to go into, because some people knew exactly what they wanted to be in their elementary school, right? Or freshman year of college or sophomore year. Everybody's at different spaces. So like we always deal with like comparison and things of that nature, and it can be hard to really navigate what you really want to be. But I think even for myself, as you grow and you discover more of who you are, you really start to understand, oh, this is what I really want to do, right? Now I can honestly say like my skill set, and this was something that I didn't know until I really like dove deeper into myself is my skill set is getting people to their dream career, right? And creating a pathway to actually do that. So when you think about DIM University, this online school program, all of you all are trying to get to your dream career, and I'm trying to help you all create a pathway to get to that, right? Done it with plenty of other students and trying to do that with you all as well. On the other side of my career, being a manager, is getting my client to wherever they want to go, right? Whether it's business, whether it's them being an actor, comedian, it doesn't really matter, right? Their dream career as well. So once I started to understand that that was the intersection of how my skill set worked and how I was able to create a pathway to get to that and a plan, that's when I started to understand myself a lot more, and I dove into that. And I think that's when one of the questions that I think I asked you all was like, what is a skill set that you don't really like, but you know you're good at? And that was that for me, right? I'm always going to be speaking from a personal experience, but that was something for me where I really felt like I didn't really like helping people, because in my mind, I was like, oh, I need to like get on and like get my things going before I help others. But what I've come to find out is you can help people and navigate yourself to the top of your career, right? Because like Jay-Z said, what's better than 1 billionaire too, right? All those, if you understand, you get it. If you don't, it's just more so a lot of people at the top is better than just having you at the top and then other people trying to get to the top, right? Bring everyone to the top. It's a team collective. So 4 questions I want us to ask ourselves, and this is what you're going to talk about in your breakout room. The first question is, who am I? How many of you have asked yourself that question recently? Beautiful, love that. Okay, we're already doing some reflection. I like that. So when I wrote these out, I was thinking about who am I? And this stems from the idea of, do you truly see who you're becoming or who you are? One of the reasons why I'm able to work with individuals on a consistent basis and on a one-on-one basis, because, and this is nothing that I knew, but one of my friends talked about it when he came up to Chicago. He lives in Atlanta, and he's not necessarily, he doesn't know like all my friends that were in Chicago, and this was a few years ago. But he was like, man, the one thing about Mo is he's very genuine in the way that he communicates with people, and he doesn't really like lie to them or hold anything back. And that was something I didn't really know, right? I wasn't reflecting on that. I didn't really have time to do that. So what does that say? Well, one, it says, if you have the right people around you, they'll be able to see those elements of yourself that you don't really know that are apparent in you. So always touch base with those people, because they can really help for you to build that self-discovery space. And then also it's great to reflect. So who you are, and going back of our examples, right? Who I was in elementary school versus who I was in high school versus who I was in college are all different forms of me because of my outside experiences that I've had. So making sure you're constantly staying in tune with yourself is going to be really important. The other part, am I comfortable with myself? That is a hard question and a hard one to really be truthful with yourself. I know for me at the beginning of like college, I was not really comfortable with myself, and I was trying to create a new pathway for myself. In high school, I was a little bit more shy, reserved. And then in college, I became this like go-to person for parties, right? And yeah, this sounds like, oh yeah, parties, that doesn't really matter. But really what that had to do with building a sense of community, right? And now I can reflect on that. Back then I was just like, yo, parties, I do these parties. I'm great at this. I can influence people on that. But that really helped me to develop another set of skills that I had that were in me that I didn't know were possible. So as I made that transition from high school to college, I learned that, oh, you can help to navigate people or guide them, right? Same thing I'm doing with all of you all and other of my clients. I'm guiding people to those careers that they didn't know were possible. Back then, I was just guiding people to the turnip, right? Different way, but same skill set. And then the next one that you should ask yourself, am I allowing enough quiet time for myself? Who has a lot of quiet time for themselves? Show of hands real quick. Any of you? Okay, beautiful, beautiful. So some of the ways that you can do that is literally just sitting down and just being quiet, right? If you don't want to meditate or anything of that nature, if meditation feels weird to you, right? Just sit down or lay down in a quiet space and let your thoughts consume you, right? Not in a negative way, in a good way, right? Just kind of think, dream, right? A lot of that space is where you're going to get insight into what you want to do and who you want to be, rather than having outside influence in that space. And within that space, it's really important for you to have a clear understanding of like what it is you're trying to get to. So for me, I always work focusing on prayer and meditation. Those are my quiet times, and that's where I connect. For me, I connect with God. For you, it might be the universe, whatever that might be for you. Spend that time to get that connection, because I think that's important for you to really see what you want to dive into and come into. And then the last question is, am I being diligent with my time? That is something that's really important when you're thinking about your dreams and aspirations. For me, I know when I started off one of the things that I realized after college was I went to college, I started throwing these parties, I started doing these events. And then when I started doing these events, then from that space, I realized, oh, I could really create a full-time living doing this. But it was a little too late at that point, because I had graduated. I'm from Minneapolis. So my parents were like, look, if you don't have a job, then you got to move back home. We can't afford to really like make stuff shake for you. I was like, all right, let me just jump into this other job that I had an offer from, which was insurance brokerage. And that job was really boring, but it taught me a lot about myself. So during that time, I worked in that corporate America setting, and I didn't really love that. And it just really started to wear on me. And I was just like, oh, I hate this job. I'm sure some of you can relate to that kind of stuff, right? You hate a job, you don't really want to be there, and you don't know how to get out of it, right? So during that time is when I really sat back and took inventory of how can I actually get out of this space? So that really ties back to being diligent with your time. If you say you want to have a goal, if you're trying to get to this dream career, really start to navigate and create an actual tangible plan for you to get out of it. So one of the things that I knew was like, all right, if I want to leave corporate, let me start to talk to other people who've left their corporate setting and gone to be entrepreneurs. One of the things I found out is, hey, because you don't know in that first year how entrepreneurship is going to be, you should probably save up the full month of your monthly bills, after that year. So that's one of the things I did. I had to hide money from myself because I'm not that great with money. And I saved up like $10,000 to cover my expenses. What did that require? That required me not going out as much, not going on these trips that I wanted to do, not doing a lot of the things that I was doing previously, but now creating a set schedule with my time to make sure that I was able to do that. Now, for you all, that might look a little different, right? Maybe that is saving up and figuring out, all right, if I want to be an entrepreneur, if I want to go out on a limb with just kind of like discovering myself and like diving into different careers, maybe I should save up a little bit of money to pay for rent or whatever that might be for you. So just really think about, how can you be more diligent with your time? How can you create a system with that as well? And then that also ties into like the quiet time, right? How can you really quiet down a lot of the noise around you and really and when you think about like quiet time, don't just think about like kind of the example I give with meditation, but there's also the other parts of quiet time. It's like receiving a lot of information, right? I know something that is really tough is like waking up, looking at social media, right? By that time, you're already receiving so much loudness and things around you. How can you really spend time to reflect and really ask yourself, what do I want to do today, right? And that's just being diligent with your time. How can I move forward in that space? So thinking about those things is going to be really important. But those are the 4 questions that I'm going to put in the chat for all of you. And we are going to have you all break up into breakout rooms real quick. Canty, you had your hand raised. Go for it.
I think you can like already answer my question when you're kind of like talking. So, but just double check, when you mean like quiet time, it's kind of like a time where you really just turn off on like pretty much like electronics, like work kind of thing, right? Like literally like any other like leisure kind of thing?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct on that. And that's a great question. So yes, quiet time can look different for everyone. Like for me, the current interns know this, but I wake up at 4 a.m. Every morning, except like Saturdays and Sundays. Sunday's my day to rest, Saturday's the weekend. But the reason doing that is because it's so quiet outside, right? You're not going to get too many distractions. You're not going to get too many people like talking around you. So you can really like be one with your thoughts. And that's realistically, that's where I get most of my greatest ideas from, or spaces of innovation is during those quiet times. So it's really just setting time apart. You can do that during the daytime. I live in Chicago, so it's very cramped quarters as far as like apartments and things of that nature. So after a while, you have to, it's going to get really loud, right? After like 6 a.m., it gets pretty loud in here. So yeah, so that's one of the things that I would say is doing that, or just finding a space where, like some people, one of my friends who's a graphic designer, he likes to go out by the lake, right? And just sit on like a rock and listen to the lake and just be one with himself. So it just looks different for all of you. I would say the toughest thing is just like figuring it out, right? You just got to try things out. Some things are going to work and some things aren't. So that's going to be really important. What time do I go to sleep? I try to go to sleep at 9 p.m. or 9:30, 10 p.m. Yeah, that's the grandpa in me. So I know it's hard. It's very hard, but it's very quiet at 4 a.m.